I was a chili guy. I like chili.
Didn't mind chili.
Fan.
I was a T-Boz guy.
Really?
Let's just point this out. Equal opportunity with TLC. They're all beautiful women.
And talented.
It's just something about Lisa. Always got me.
Hey, teach their own.
Indeed. All right, let's get to Matt Barrows. We'll see who he and TLC like in a minute.
Yeah.
But first, let me tell all of you that Matt Barrows on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Of course, he covers the Niners for The Athletic. Matt Barrows, TLC, which one you got?
Well, I would definitely get the fire insurance if. Yeah, spring for the extra coverage. I would say.
No doubt about that. Matt, we were talking earlier on the show about Chris Forster and what he had to say about Burford and McKivitz on the right side of the line. Were you surprised that, for all intents and purposes, it sounded like he was ruling out competition on that right side?
Yeah, I mean, I think what he was trying to say is he wants to send the message to these guys that, just go out there and practice and don't worry about the competition because he realizes that, there are going to be mistakes and it's not going to be perfect, especially in the spring. Obviously, you want to see it get a little bit better as you get into the summer and through the preseason and whatnot. But his point is it's just going to take a lot of reps, a lot of snaps with the first team in order for these guys to get good and that they shouldn't be looking behind them. And so I think that's what was sort of behind what he was saying. And, at first blush, you think, oh, he's just doing this to sort of build confidence and it's coach speak. But, he said the same things last year about two guys that we had no idea about. Aaron Banks, who had played, I think it was something like 5 snaps as a rookie, second-round pick, seemed like a bust. And then Jake Brendel, who I had to continue to kind of look at the website to see whether it was spelled D-E-L or D-L-E. I mean, that's how anonymous he was at this point last year. And both of those guys played really well. So my point is that Forster does have a track record in saying these things. He knows it. He's one of the more experienced offensive line coaches out there available. So when he talks about Burford and he talks about McKivitz, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
The latest on the quarterback situation, we heard from John Lynch, who said that they were incredibly encouraged by Brock Purdy's first throwing session since March 10th elbow surgery. How much stock should we put in what they're telling us about Brock Purdy and his progress, or should we just sit back and wait and see when this guy is ready to throw footballs in a competitive fashion again?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the latter. The fact that he was throwing yesterday, it's still May, when he had that surgery on March 10, the 49ers had circled the first week in June. So I think it was next week that they had circled for, the first time that he picks up a football and throws the football. So he's a little bit ahead of schedule in that regard. So, I mean, I think that's what's behind those encouraging words from John Lynch, that not only is he hitting all the marks so far, but he's slightly ahead of the game a bit. So, if that continues to ring true, we're talking at some point during training camp where he comes back and he's able to, put the full uniform on and go through a full practice with this team. And if that's the case, let's say I'm just pulling a date out at random, but let's say it's August 20. If it's August 20, then, that first game is September 10. That's 30 days. So, or that's 20 days. Sorry. My math is not great, but I still think that that's enough time where you think, okay, if he's back at August 20, I think it's probably safe to say that it's shaping up like he's going to be the starter for that first game in Pittsburgh.
Matt Barrows is with us. Matt, Brandon Ayuk talking big, said he's ready to take off. What are reasonable expectations for you with Ayuk if he stays healthy?
I mean, the guy had 1,200 receiving yards this past season.
Yeah.
And so he's been able to string together 2 really good off seasons. And, the longer I've been covering the NFL, the more kind of stock I take in that. Like, is the guy spending his off season rehabbing? is he's spending the off season in a contract dispute. That usually means that guy is not going to have a spectacular year. Ayuk has hit the ground running or he certainly did last year, and he seems to be on that same course this year. So I can only imagine that plus the fact that he's got another year in this offense means that he could ratchet that number up. I mean, I don't want to put a number out there, but 1,200 yards is nothing to sneeze at. 1,400, 1,500 would be the next step, and I think he's absolutely capable of doing that.
Where do you see we've been told there isn't really competition on the right side of the line. We know the competition at quarterback should Brock Purdy not be ready for week 1. Outside of that, where do you see the real position battles where jobs are there for the taking for guys?
Well, tight end is interesting. I mean, obviously there's one guy who's guaranteed a starting spot, George Kittle, and then for the last few years it's been some fairly anonymous guys behind him, Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelly, and last year Tyler Kroft. It's going to be interesting to see whether they're 2 draft picks, a third rounder, Cameron Latu, and then a 7th rounder, Braden Willis, whether they can sort of dislodge the 2 guys who are there right now. So it's not a glamour position, but it's a position that's going to get on the field quite a bit, and a lot if Kittle should have an injury. So that's a spot to watch. The other cornerback spot, Yamador Lenore has looked really good so far in OTAs, and he's coming off a really strong playoff performance as well. But towards the end of the season, that was a big question mark whether Lenore could be a starter, whether he was better suited to be a nickel cornerback or an outside guy. It seems like he's going to hold on to that spot, but there's a lot of jockeying behind them. They drafted a guy named Darrell Luter, who's looked good so far. Ambry Thomas has to step up. He was a 3rd rounder a couple of years ago. So these are, I'm describing sort of second tier spots, backup spots, but that's sort of where the 49ers are. They're a very complete team. And so it's these backup jobs that where you're seeing most of the competition.
Matt, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time, my man. Great stuff. Let's do this again soon.
All right, sounds good, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks,
you,
Matt. Matt Barrows from The Athletic. Of course, he covers the 49ers on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. It'll be interesting. I mean, this roster is pretty much set, like Matt said.
It's
I mean,
stacked.
aside from injuries, you're in a good spot. I still have my questions about quarterback, but, when you look at the 53, you got to feel really good.